Today, we will go through an interesting story from our mythology. This is quite a well known story. I am sure everyone here would have heard about it, either for the nectar of immortality or Amrita that came out of the Shirsagar, the Milky Ocean, or for the venom, wish named Halahal, which is held in the throat or cunt of Lord Shiva. Yes, this is a story of Amrit Manthan. But today, we will focus our attention on a mischievous character, a demon or asura named Swarabhanu. I know this name may sound new to you, but I'm sure every one of you may know him by some other names. In Indian mythology, if you want to know about a persona or a character, if you want to find some information about someone, then Mahabharata would be a good go to book for it because there is a high probability that you will find the information you need in this book. So, our mischievous Asura Swarabhanu also appears there. In Adi Parva of Mahabharata, it is mentioned that Maharshi Kashyapa, one of the Saptarshis or the seven celestial sages, is the ancestral father of all the Devas and the Asuras. Maharshi Kashyapa married Diti, the daughter of Prajapati Daksh, and became the ancestral mother of all Asuras. They both had a daughter named Simhika, who went on to marry a Daitya named Vipradhiti. They both had a son named Swarabhanu. Now we come back to the story of Amrit Manthan. The story starts with Rishi Durvasa, who is known for his always exploding temper and his habit of cursing everyone when enraged. Rishi Durvasa was once offered a beautiful garland of flowers by Vidyadhari. While wandering the earth in his state of blissfulness, Rishi Durvasa came across Indra, the king of God, riding his elephant Airavat. Rishi Durvasa offered his garland to Indra, who accepted it and placed it on Airavat's head. The elephant was irritated by the fragrance of its nectar, and it threw the garland to the ground with his trunk. Seeing this, Rishi Durvasa was enraged. He cursed Indra that he would be cast down from his position of dominance over the three worlds just as the garland was cast down, and the Devatas will lose all their power and luster. They will become Shrihin. Indra begged for the forgiveness, but the sage refused to soften. Due to this, the Devas were diminished in strength and they were stripped of their powers and luster. Seizing this opportunity, the Asuras, led by King Bali, waged a war against the Devas. Swarabhanu was one of the high-ranked Asura in his forces. The gods were routed and they turned to Brahma for help, who sent them to Lord Vishnu to seek refuge. Lord Vishnu advised them to call truce with the Asuras and help them to churn the Shirsagar to obtain Amrita, the nectar of immortality, on the pretext of sharing it with them. Here, Lord Vishnu promised the Devas that only they would be able to drink the Amrita so that they could regain their power and could defeat the Asuras. So began the Amrit Manthan. Now, here I will take a big jump and get to the end. Finally, the Amrit came out of the Shirsagar, and as expected, the Asuras and the Devas started to fight about who will get to drink it first. As promised to Devas, Lord Vishnu took the form of Devi Mohini, which was a beautiful and enchanting female form used to distract Asuras. She asked for the permission to distribute it evenly among everyone, though she first started distributing it to the Devas. Now here enters our mischievous Asura Swarabhanu. Swarabhanu could not control his desire to drink the Amrita, and hence disguised himself as a Deva and went to sit with them. The Surya Deva and the Chandra Deva, due to their luminous nature, noticed this disguise and informed Devi Mohini, but a bit too late. Enraged by this, Devi Mohini served the head of Surya Bhanu with her Sudarshan Chakra. But as he had already drank few drops of Amruta, he was immortal and not killed. His both parts remained alive. His head was named Rahu and his body Ketu. Both were shunned to the outer space. These are the names which I guess all of us are familiar with. Because of all this, Rahu and Ketu had a grudge against Surya Deva and Chandra Deva. They both always try to catch Surya and Chandra in an attempt to swallow them as a revenge. Once in a while, they are successful in swallowing the Surya or Chandra. But as they don't have their full body, the Surya Deva and the Chandra Deva are able to run away. This is how we have solar and lunar eclipses, and how sun and moon comes out of the eclipse. So this is a story for you all. A story all about Asura, Swarabhanu and eclipses. This is how eclipses occur according to our mythology. But in this age of science, we know how eclipses occurs. Eclipse takes place due to the motion of sun, moon and earth, and we are absolutely sure that no Asura or pseudo-planets named after them are involved here. But is this right? Are you all completely sure that Rahu and Ketu only exists in mythology and not in real life? Just to be 100% sure, let's have a look at the science behind all this. We all know that our moon revolves around the earth and the earth along with the moon revolves around the sun. In this journey, solar eclipse occurs when moon comes in between sun and earth and casts a shadow on the earth. Similarly, lunar eclipse occurs when earth comes in between sun and moon and casts its shadow on the moon. So yes, the eclipse occurs only because of earth's shadow on moon or the moon's shadow on earth. Where are Rahu and Ketu here? So here's the final twist. Earth revolves around the sun in a plane called the ecliptic, and the plane of revolution of moon around the sun does not lie in this ecliptic, but it is at some angle to it. As our scientific minds could guess, eclipses will occur only when all these three objects are in same plane. So there will be 2 points or nodes in this ecliptic where this phenomenon will occur. That is, the orbit of the moon will cross the ecliptic. And these are the two exact points which are called Rahu and Ketu. The ascending node is known as Rahu and the descending node is known as Ketu. As the earth is moving around sun and the moon is moving around the earth, these 2 points of intersection are also in constant motion. Hence, they take the form of a pseudo-planet. Finally, in a way, Rahu and Ketu are still responsible for the eclipses. From now on, when any child asks you about eclipse, you have two interesting stories to tell them. One from mythology and one from science. But our mischievous Asura, Swarabhanu or Rahu Ketu will always have a part to play. Thank you.